Um, okay, so let's talk a little bit about time freedom, and just starting, to support you all in your time freedom in this program. So, something I was sharing with Hillary earlier in the call was this idea of automate, delegate, eliminate. So you're going to start with, you can just have a big sheet of paper and write down all the things that you have to do, whether it's on a daily basis or a recurring basis or a one-off. So you're going to write a big list. Some people call this like the parking lot. It's where all the cars are parked. Like, and all this, like I like to use the program called ClickUp. It's a task management program. It's awesome. And, if you really want to get into it, we can talk more about like sharing some of these tasks, like maybe with your partner. Maybe you've got a shared list with your partner and you can delegate some of these pieces to them. So you start with, again, writing everything out, and then you have your 3 columns, which are automate, delegate, eliminate. So what can I automate out of all these pieces? What can I delegate? Who can I delegate it to? And what can I then eliminate as well? If it doesn't feel like, oh, I don't really need to do that, it's not hyper important. And if you're like me, like kind of I like to joke that I'm a recovering type A, I will add things to my list after the fact just to have something to cross off. Okay. So I'm not proud of this. It's just kind of a compulsive thing that I do. But it can be hard to delegate some of these things, right? It can really bump up against our need to control. And if you are like me, some of you might be more type B, which you might not have as much of an issue with this, but right, like there's these 3 categories. And so just starting to get in the habit of, what can I get off of my plate? The word no, getting rid of things, cleaning things out, this whole movement around minimalism, right? It's a whole thing because it makes us feel better. So a book that I really like on this is called Essentialism by Greg McKeown. And you'll start to notice that like the people that are the most productive in their lives are the ones that are great at saying no and getting things off of their plate. And when we start to incorporate somatic work into this too, you start to just ask yourself and ask, how does it feel when I hold this task in my mind? What do I feel about it? If I think about, oh, I want to reorganize all my papers. Well, okay. I mean, I guess like maybe I've got clutter everywhere or something, so I really need to do that. But maybe I'm just adding something that doesn't need to be there. Can I eliminate that? Like, what extra steps am I creating for myself that I can get rid of? It's a really big question. So how much can you get off of your plate by either delegating it or eliminating it or automating it? We're going to be talking about financial freedom too. How can I automate saving? How can I automate paying off my debt? Right? All these pieces that make our lives easier. And, again, going back to the idea of like, what does it feel like in my body when I think about doing X, Y, Z? And if you have a vision for your life, right, in the Find Your Freedom program, we're here to talk about creating your bucket list life. So one of the most valuable things I ever heard, and I don't even remember who taught me this, but I still think about it, is there are going to be so many things that come in to vie for your attention, and they're just tests. And so let's just say, like, I know that I want to go live in Italy or something. I'm just making this up. I want to buy a house in Italy, and I want to move there, and I want to have time, location, and financial freedom, and I want to eat pasta every day, right? If somebody starts to ask me, hey, do you want to, I don't know, like do this job? Like, I can't tell you how many times I've been offered a job that wasn't in alignment with where I wanted to go. It looked good. The job sounded good. They might've paid me well, but it's not what I want. It wasn't going to forward me. It wasn't going to be career building for me. I knew that. And so it's hard to say no, but you need to say no. Right? It's like Hillary wants to be wants to have her doctorate in nursing. Like, what are the things that are going to pull her away from that? Because especially when you start to build skills, and we're going to talk about this in financial freedom, the more skills you build, the more people want you. The more people want you to work for them, the more people want you to come. Like I get emails all the time about people asking me to come to their group therapy practice. And I get kind of annoyed. I mean, I know that it's like they're trying to, no, most of the time it doesn't annoy me. Sometimes it does. And I'll email them. I'm like, what do you have to offer me that I don't already offer myself? They don't respond. Right? Right? So these things that go like, whoa, come work here, come do that. Like all these things. If I want more sleep, because I'm exhausted, what are the things that are going to get in the way of me sleeping more? Well, my partner wants to watch The Office for the 110th time, you know, like whatever it is, or I want to watch The Office for the 110th time. Like, I know I have to say no to something. We cannot do everything. Okay, so I'll get off my soapbox about this in a moment, but you know, this is how we start to create time freedom, is we say no, 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 no. I want to start to eat better. Okay. And then a friend asked me to go out to like the local Mexican place where they like smother tons of cheese on it, whatever. Like sometimes that's good, but is that in alignment with where I want to go? You have to be very clear about that, right? So it's super exciting because then you start to be like, oh yeah, I'm doing this and I'm saying no to that. And then you feel like, I know what I'm doing. I know where I'm going. And then, right, then you're going to see in the intention exercise, which is in week, now I'm getting them all mixed up, in week 2, where your attention goes, well, we say in yoga, like where your attention goes, the blood and the prana, your life force will follow. Okay. Where your attention goes, your attention and your intentions are your greatest assets in your life. You're going to hear this again in the intention video. Setting your intention for this program. Where do I want my life to go? And then you put blinders on to everything else that doesn't help you get there. Right? It's gonna be like, my kid wants another dog. Well, we already have a dog and we don't need another dog. We don't need a puppy. That's too much. We're going to be traveling because we want to travel. We want to travel as a family, and like having another dog is not going to be conducive to that. Whatever. You got my drift here, right? Like we have to start to say no. We have to be very clear about where we want to go. Okay. So then the second thing around that, so we've got automate, delegate, eliminate. The beginning of your week, and I highly recommend using like Google Calendars or iCal. I really like iCal, but I integrate my Google Calendar into it because I've got multiple calendars that I'm managing. And I like to say, if it's not in my calendar, it doesn't exist. So people will say, oh yeah, let's have a phone call. Let's catch up. And I'm like, okay, when? And they're like, geez, lady. I'm like, no, really. Right? Saturday, like 9 a.m. When are we going to catch up? Because otherwise it doesn't exist in my mind because I'm not thinking about it. It's got everything, especially for my folks who are like, I have ADHD. Okay, then you need this even more. If you have trouble, if you forget things, like I got fired from a job because I overslept because I was exhausted in grad school and my alarm didn't wake me up. And like, I forgot that I had this class. Like these things happen, right? If we don't stay on top of our stuff, we call this executive functioning. And my executive functioning was very low because I was so tired. So if that's you and you've got a lot going on, you need this even more. Having structure in your life creates freedom. Some people will say, oh, that's too rigid. That's too constricting. But if you want more time freedom, you actually have to be very protective of your time. You have to be very structured with your time. And so time blocking is, I make a list for all the things I need to do that week. I prioritize them. I like to do this in ClickUp. And then I say, what can I automate, delegate, eliminate? And then from there, anything that's still on my list to do and it's urgent for that week, then I go in and I say, oh, 9 to 10 a.m., I've got a block of time. I know that's when my daughter sleeps or something. I'm going to do that then. I'm going to do my Find Your Freedom work. I've got to wake up early to do that because I've got so much to manage. I'm going to wake up at 6 a.m. or whatever it is, whatever you need to do. And you can go, like, I'll go into, if I'm taking a course, I'll say, oh, I've got, I don't know, 5 hours of content this week to get through. Okay, ooh, that's a lot. I'm going to have to kind of put that all into my calendar. So I'm going to watch, 1 hour this day and another hour this day, right? So this is how you're going to make the best use of this class as well, right? I don't want you to just, it's like your essential oils. We don't want them just sitting on your shelf collecting dust. No, I want you to use them. I want you to know all the ways to use them, have lots of resources, which I'm going to teach you. So you're not wasting your time and your money.